good relationship, good life.
Well, we're getting back to reading and learning from a book titled The Good Life, and we're working on chapter 2, Why Relationships Matter. We're on, actually we need to start on page 35 with a question at the end of the page. It says, an experiment conducted by researchers at the University of Chicago eliminate one central piece of the puzzle. It continues, strangers on a train. Imagine you're on a train. Strangers are seated all around you. You'd like to have the most pleasant possible train ride, and you have a choice. Talk to a stranger or keep to yourself. Which do you choose? Well, we know that most of us do, or we know what most of us do. We keep to ourselves. Who wants to deal with a random stranger? They'll probably talk our ear off. Also, we want to get some work done or just enjoy some music or a podcast. So that's what they're saying most of us would like to do, is just keep to ourselves and concentrate on what we want. We don't want to be, quote, bothered, because we want to do our own thing. Now, this kind of predication about what will make us happy is known in psychology as effective forecasting. We are constantly making predictions about all kinds of things in our lives, large and small, which will make us feel better. Apparently they're saying, in our minds, we're thinking, okay, this will make us feel good, or this will make us feel bad. Automatically starts thinking about this.
Okay.
So researchers at the University of Chicago turned their local train into an effective forecasting experiment. They asked commuters to predict which of two scenarios, talking to a stranger or minding your own business, would make for a more positive experience. Then they instructed one group to intentionally connect with a nearby stranger and the other group to remain disconnected. When the ride was over, they asked the commuters how they felt about the train ride. So they had two groups.
Okay.
One had them connect with the others keep to themselves, not talk to other people or make any connections to other people. And then they asked those commuters how they felt about the train ride. Well, before the ride, people overwhelmingly predicted that talking to someone they didn't know would be a bad experience. You know, that's what their mind was predicting. And that keeping to themselves would be much better. They were forecasting what would make them happy and what would make them miserable.
Okay.
The actual experience, however, was the opposite of what they expected.
Opposite. Is opposite what they expected.
Yeah, so they thought, okay, if they kept to themselves, it would make them happy. And if they connected to other people, they would be miserable. That's what they were predicting. But experience was opposite. When commuters were told to strike up a conversation, most had a positive experience and rated their commute as better than usual. For those who typically worked on the train, reported that the trip was no less productive when they talked to a stranger. So what they discovered, even people that normally would keep to themselves and work on their own, was that even though they talked with other people, they were still able to do whatever they needed to do, but they were much happier. Not just in short-term situations like the train study, but in long-term too. We seem particularly bad at forecasting the benefits of relationships. A big part of this is the obvious fact that relationships can be messy and unpredictable. This messiness is some of what prompts many of us to prefer being alone. It's not just that we are seeking solitude, it's that we want to avoid the potential mess of connecting with others. But we overestimate the mess and underestimate the benefits of human connection. This is a feature of our decision making in general. We pay a lot of attention to potential cost and downplay of dismiss potential benefits. This is the situation in which many of us find ourselves. We avoid things that we think will make us feel bad and pursue things that we think will make us feel good. Our instincts don't always lead us astray, but there are important areas in which they do. Like John Marsden, many of us end up making some pretty big decisions, like which career to pursue, or the same small decisions, like never talking to strangers, over and over, based on faulty thinking that seems perfectly logical. Rarely do we get the opportunity to see the error. This would be difficult, or this would all be difficult enough if we lived in a vacuum where no outside forces were affecting our decisions. The problem is compounded when we subject our decision making to the cultural influences we face, which themselves contain some ideas that can get us off track. We are not the only ones forecasting what will make us happy. The culture we live in is also forecasting for us.
Okay, this is overall of strangers on a train.
What they looked at is they took two groups,
To go.
and one group they decided to have them do what they normally do.
Okay.
Get on the train,
Okay.
keep to themselves, and do what they normally do.
Okay.
And for a lot of them, it was either just keeping quiet or doing work on the train. The other group, they wanted them to connect with other people.
Okay.
Now, you know what I mean by connect, right? Well, introduce themselves and start talking to other people. And that's the connection, is the introduction, the talking, the communication.
Okay.
They looked at the results of both groups, how they felt after the train ride.
Okay.
The group that kept to themselves still felt satisfied, but they were not what expected in that they weren't as satisfied. Well, they were not as happy.
Yeah, they just satisfied but not happy.
That's right.
But if compare to the second group that have more interaction or
Yes.
the
And
relationship
yeah.
communicate to people, that is result is
Those people were much happier with the train ride
okay, that
and the
makes sense.
time they spent on the train.
That makes sense. Okay,
Was an experiment conducted.
experiments conducted by researchers at the University of Chicago.
It showed one of the pieces of the puzzle, one of the central pieces of the puzzles of how people feel when they communicate with others. A puzzle is a piece of something. You have a picture puzzle that's made up of many pieces. The puzzle is not complete until you put it together. So these researchers were trying to put information together to complete the picture.
Okay.
They say that sometimes people say we avoid things we think will make us feel bad and pursue things that we think will make us feel good. So if we are on a train and we don't communicate with others, it's because we think that makes us feel good.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Or actually, we think that communicating with other people will make us feel bad.
Oh, it opposite their thought.
That's right.
Okay, okay.
We have instincts.
Instinct, yes,
Instincts
I understand.
that make
Instinct.
us think, oh, this person is good, or this person is bad, or this situation is good, or this situation is bad.
Okay.
Our instincts don't always lead us astray. Our instincts tell us sometimes, hey, this situation's bad. We need to get out of here.
Okay.
And we listen to them and we leave. And that's good. But sometimes our instincts that say, okay, this is bad. We need to not do it. That's not always correct.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
John Marsden, remember, he was a person that came from a wealthy family. He had the chance of taking over the family business.
Yes.
Decided, no, he didn't want to take over the family business. He wanted to become a lawyer.
Like an instinct told him before, oh, I don't want to take over the family business. I want to do my way.
That's right.
Okay.
And he did. But John Marsden was self-centered.
Self-centered. Oh, self-centered. Okay.
And made some decisions based on faulty thinking. So he thought if he became a lawyer, he would be able to help people. But when he became a lawyer,
Many things changed.
He changed. He kept thinking, okay, this is best for me, for my profession as a lawyer. So he became self-centered.
Okay.
And while he was successful professionally in his other life, his family life, his personal life, he was not successful. He had troubles because he was always thinking about, number one, himself.
He support the study opposite of what they expected.
That's right. We are not the only ones forecasting what will make us happy. The culture we live in is also forecasting for us.
Oh, the culture we live in is also forecasting for us.
You were talking to some people yesterday, and you were talking how the culture in Thailand has changed.
Yes.
And they talked about how it's still changing. So is that culture over there starting to forecast for the people in Thailand?
Oh.
Just like is our culture here in America forecasting for us? This sentence, we are not the only ones forecasting what will make us happy. The culture we live in is also forecasting for us. Our culture tells us, okay, you will be happy doing this. Our culture also says you will be unhappy not doing it. If you do this, you will be unhappy. Under the spell of culture, in his commencement address to Kenyon College in 2005, the writer David Foster Wallace used a parable to point out an indelible truth. There are these two young fish swimming along, and they happen to meet an older fish swimming the other way, who nods at them and says, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" And the two young fish swim on a bit, and then eventually one of them looks over at the other one and goes, "What the hell is water?" They did not know, they did not understand what is water. They were in the water.
But they don't know what the water look
Because
like.
no, they did not know what water is because they were so immersed in the water. They'd been in the water all their life and they never thought about it. They overlooked it.
Or overlooked it.
Just like a culture. We grow up in a culture, live and adapt to that culture at that moment. And we don't think about it. We're in a culture. For instance, you grew up in a Thai culture. And there's different things in a Thai culture than there is in an American culture. But you don't think about that Thai culture when you're there because you're growing up in it.
Yes, that exactly. I was shocked when I moved to America the first time. It's really different from Thailand, and I have no clue how to, interact with people, to communicate to people, because sometimes I use the Thai culture here they not accept it, and I just shocked. What happened? Okay.
That's right. Every culture, from the broad culture of a nation down to the culture inside of a family, is at least partially invisible to its participants. We don't see it. We're living it, but we don't see it.
Page number 38 of the Good Life in chapter 2.
Now, there are important assumptions, value judgments, and practices that create water we swim in without our noticing or agreeing to them. We simply find ourselves in this world and we move forward. Again, the culture is invisible to us. We just accept it and we keep moving forward. Now, these features of culture affects just about everything in our lives, often in positive ways, connecting us to each other and creating identities and meaning. But there is also a flip side. Sometimes cultural messages and practices point us in directions away from well-being and happiness. This is a thing that occurs in a country. Here's a good example. A political slogan in America is "Make America Great Again." And this is something that a certain segment of the population believe in. That if you live a certain way, it will make the nation great again. They want to change the nation to reflect their beliefs. Whether this actually makes us make the nation great again, we won't know. As Wallace was encouraging the graduating students to do, and notice some of the cultural water. Now, in the 1940s and 50s, when John, Leo, and other original participants of the Harvard study were growing into adults, American culture brimmed with assumptions, as it does today, and it will tomorrow, about what a good life looks like. These assumptions percolate down into their lives and, more importantly, into their life choices. John, for example, was convinced that pursuing law and becoming a lawyer, a respected profession, would lay the groundwork for his future happiness. The culture he grew up in created the conditions for his belief to seem like a truism. A truism means what somebody thinks is the truth. This is complicated terrain because the things that our respective cultures encourage us to pursue, money, achievement, status, and other things, are rarely complete mirages. Money allows us to acquire important things that we need for well-being. Achievements are often satisfying, and aiming for them can provide goals that give purpose to our lives and allow us to move forward into new, exciting realms. And status gives us a certain social respect that can allow us to effectively positive change. But money, achievement, and status all have a tendency to overtake other priorities. This too is a function of our ancient brain. We focus on what is most visible and most immediate. The value of relations is ticked up in the right-hand corner of your screen. These countable victories gives us small pulses of feeling that we like, pleasing sensations, remnants of those ancient signals. As we go through life, we can see all accumulating, and we pursue these goals without thinking about why we're pursuing them. Soon enough, we find ourselves beyond the realm where these cultural approved pursuits affect our lives and other people in positive ways, and into realms where they become ends in themselves. Here, the pursuits become abstract, more symbolic than tangible, and the chase for a better life starts to look more like running in circles. They're saying that it's sort of a complicated thing. The culture starts us out thinking, okay, we need to go in this direction. Important things like well-being, achievements, goals. Okay, here we go. Pursue money, achievement, status, and other things. That's what our cultures teach us to think about. We need to pursue money, achievement, status, and other things.
So they change direction, they change the goal.
Well, these things are rarely complete mirages. A mirage is a thing you see, but it's not real. Now, money allows us to acquire important things. Achievements are self-satisfying. Achieving them or aiming for them can provide goals that give purpose to our lives. You know, you and I talk about we have goals. And that we need to work towards those goals.
Quality life, happy life, and healthy life.
Status gives us a more certain social respect that can allow us affect positive change. If we achieve a high status, we can affect other people in a positive way. That's what status does for people. Now, money, achievement, and status all have a tendency to overtake other priorities. In other words, they become our number one, number two, number three priority. They overtake other priority, family. Yeah, it's our ancient human brain saying we focus on what is mostly visible and most immediate. Friendship, on the other hand, is harder to define. We don't define friendship as important, and it's hard to quantify, I should say, quantify. It says the value of relationships, ephemeral, in other words, hard to see, and it's also hard to quantify. Now, quantify is like saying, where is the importance in something?
Okay, I got it.
But see, money can be counted. Achievements can be listed.
Okay, that example,
And social media,
can be too.
yes. Money, achievements, status, those are like victories that gives us small feelings of pleasure. And as we go through life, we can see it building up. Yeah, we can build up money. We can build up achievements. We can build up status.
Okay.
We try for these goals without always thinking why we are pursuing them. We tend to go not just to those levels of money, achievement, status, but we go beyond them. And, culturally, culture approves of money. It approves of achievement. It approves of status. But where does it approve of friendships?
John life. First thing he want to do is helping people, and finally,
The only person he was helping was himself.
yes, finally, because effect from the money, from the
Achievements
achievement
and
of
social, they become self-centered. So pursuits become abstracted, more symbolic.
symbolic.
It's, oh, look at me, I'm important. But are they really important to other people?
They just think themselves.
That's right. They're saying that the chase for a better life starts to look more like running in circles.
Oh,
All these objects of desire and their psychological underpinnings. But for the sake of illustrations, let's take a closer look at one symbolic keystone, a persistent cultural assumption shared among many cultures all over the world that is not only old, but ancient and shows no sign of going anywhere. The foundation of a good life is money. This is a persistent cultural assumption.
okay, okay.
It doesn't matter where you're from in the world, whether it's Thailand, China, England, France, America.
Australia or
Yeah,
whatever.
every culture has that thought that the foundation of a good life is money. All the world culture thinks.
All the world culture thing. Okay.
But signs of the strength of this belief are evident all around us. We see it in equation of well-paying jobs with good jobs, in the fascination with the ultra-wealthy, in the increasing pragmatic educational system. In other words, you go to school to get a better job. That's one of the thoughts. You go to school to get a better job. And I'm guilty to say that also. I tell people, you need to go to school and you get a better job. Yeah.
Okay.
It's also in the glamorous promises of consumer products and in many other avenues of life. Consumer products, look at cell phone.
Okay.
People want the best cell phones. It's expensive.
Yes.
So you need a good job, or you spend money that you can spend other ways. It is a story so much a part of cultural water that it survives despite the fact that philosophers, writers, and artists have been warning against the seduction of wealth for thousands of years. So there have been very smart people been telling people, hey, be careful. Wealth is seductive. It leads you to bad things, bad acts. And people have telling people this for thousands of years. People ignore them. Seduction is greed.
Some people just say, don't hate the money. Don't feel, against the money because you never be a rich people. If you against the money and you hate money, this is like, something similar.
That's the culture that we live in, whether it's Thai or an American, says that we need money. You have to make money. Money is happiness.
Okay. Aristotle?
Aristotle, the Greek philosopher, for example, outlined the problem 2,000 years ago. The life of money making is one undertaken under compulsion. He wrote, and wealth is evident, not the good we are seeking, for it is merely useful and for the sake of something else. He's saying that money making money, is undertaken under compulsion. What's compulsion? It's like an addiction.
Addiction. Oh, really?
Evidently, not the good we are seeking. That money, not the good life we are looking for. Money only buys a certain amount of happiness.
Okay.
It does not buy you complete happiness. It buys you material things, but not necessarily mental happiness. We are not satisfied. Culturally, we are not satisfied with that. Culturally, we're taught that we need to make more and more money.
More. It means
And
never enough for the greedy.
Money is never enough.
Money never enough. Oh, I understand.
That's
Okay.
what we're taught culturally.
So you never feel rich, even though you have 1 million, 10 million, 10,000 million,
You're never rich enough.
you never feel rich enough.
Articulated in every era of history. Money has never made man happy, nor will it. That was Ben Franklin that said that. Or, don't make money your goal. Instead, pursue the things you love doing, and then do them so well that people can't take their eyes off of you. And that was Maya Angelou.
Yeah, Maya Angelou say.
All these sentiments trickle down and coalesce into that cliche refrain. Money can't buy happiness.
Money cannot buy happiness.
Now the idea is so common that it has itself been folded into capitalist cultures all over the world. People tell each other all the time that money isn't the answer, yet money remains a central object of desire in cultures almost everywhere.
Money remains a central object of desire in cultures almost everywhere. I agree.
The idea that money buys happiness maintains its allure because every day we see the way it affects how people live.
Every day we see the ways it affects how people live. Okay.
So the idea that money buys happiness maintains its allure. That means thing that makes you want it more and more. In America, income inequity has been increasing for decades and is connected to all kinds of other inequities, from discrepancies in access to health care to the fact that rich people have shorter commutes to work. The overall effect of money is so significant that people with high incomes can expect to live 10 to 15 years longer than people with low incomes.
Overall effect of money is so significant that people with high incomes can expect to live 10 to 15 years longer than people with low income. Okay, I start to confusing. Go ahead.
The men in the Harvard study are no different. On the average, the college men had significantly higher income than the Boston inner city men and lived 9.1 years longer. So, what they're saying here is money has become so significant in America that rich people live longer than the poorer simply because they have better health care.
Yeah, that's why I said money is important in some way, but not cannot buy happiness. So we need to study more the research, how the research relate to the money.
So, the idea that money may be a major shaper of happiness is, in some ways, a common sense observation.
Ah, okay. Go
And
ahead.
yet, it does not reflect the whole truth.
Okay, got it.
To understand the extent to which money affects happiness and well being, we have to look a bit deeper and ask, as Aristotle was suggesting, what is the money for?
What is the money for? What is the money for? This is a little tied to question, right? And we will study more.
Yes,
Okay, let's see how people get good life and happiness in life.
I think what we need to look at for the good life, quality life, is a balance of things that they talked about as far as money, status, social well-being. You know, you need to balance.
This is take over 80 years to
Yes,
study the life of people.
they are working on the third generation. Yes.
Yes,
Well, and you also wish that other people can experience a happy life also.
we will study this book daily.
Knowledge is strength. You can use knowledge to change how you think. Change can occur with people, but sometimes it takes time.
So tomorrow study again is
Yes.
about 1 hour study, and we will go together. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for your support. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good day
Day together.
together. Have a good night overseas. And bye bye.
From us to you.
Bye bye.